most of your summer break with the Summer EBT, thanks to this new program in Illinois. To learn if your child qualifies for Summer EBT and if you need to complete an application, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. That's WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger. Aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
Rehab, recover, and return home when you or your loved one use the Bounce Back program at Liberty Village of Clinton. When you're not ready for a nursing home, their Bounce Back program is the answer. Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Simply the finest.
Healthy children make better students and stronger athletes. Be their advocate. Schedule their back-to-school physicals today at SIU Center for Family Medicine. Call 217-735-2317 now or click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time is 7 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 8 o'clock newscast. Coming up in news this morning, we'll have a recap of Tuesday night's Clinton Board of Education meeting. As Clinton schools get back to school today, the Clinton Police Department School Resource Officer has some tips for parents and teens. And the Lincoln Art and Balloon Festival is back this weekend. Those stories coming up. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube. It is brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Tuesday night, the Clinton Board of Education heard from first-year Superintendent Drew Goebel about the funding for the next phase of the outdoor sports complex upgrades. Goebel told the Board of Education they have two options for issuing bonds, with one being a 3-year term and the other the one being a 2-year term and the other a 3-year term.
Okay, if you recall last year around November, we passed a resolution to sell capital project bonds, and we had a 3-year period to do that. The reason why we need to do that is because if you look at historically, Clinton has levied in working cash. And again, working cash is our savings account. And we did not have to move money from our working cash fund into our education fund for about 3 years. So we, at least 6 years ago, we levied money in working cash. Again, that's what the district always did, and we had that money. So we had about $4 million-ish in working cash. And instead of transferring that money to the ed fund, which Dr. Holmes and even before him had to do, we didn't have to do that. So then when we got, and honestly the timing couldn't have happened better, because when we would have had to, well not had to, but when we traditionally would have levied more working cash about that same time, the MEP project, all the stuff going on at the high school with the switchgear and all that needed to get fixed. Ryan Black came to me a couple of years ago. He's like, man, our electricity is about ready to go. And if we would not have fixed that when we did, that was something that could shut down the school. I mean, so and I know there's a lot of attention going on the football field, but honestly, that the MEP project was major that we took care of it. So we bonded out because we didn't bond in health, life, safety. We didn't bond in working cash. Instead, we bonded in health, life, safety to fund that project. And the reason I'm doing that because it's keeping our tax rate exactly where it's at, and that's how we're going to be able to pay off the MEP project with our health, life, safety bonds, and it's going to take 2 years to do that. So now, again, we still have our working cash money, but now in order for us to do phase 2 out there without raising taxes and keeping a fund balance of well over $1 million just in reserves for an O&M, the district doesn't have money to complete phase 2. But we have bonding capacity to bond out to keep our tax rate exactly where it's at. And if you look at that, Kevin Hyde is he's our agent he's our bonding agent. So we had two options. We can go the top option, which is pay it off in 3 years and get $2.3 million. Taxes stay the same. Or that's a 3-year plan. Or you can do 2 years and get 1.4.
According to Goebel, the next phase will shift the home bleachers to the west side of the complex and build a new press box. But there's much more to do than just constructing those buildings.
Look, just looking like the press box and the bleachers alone are going to be about $1 million. And again, I've been putting this in our updates. The shed or the current bleachers, and we're looking at possibly knocking that down and putting a brand new building. And there's sidewalks, there's asphalt, there's a lot of things that go into phase 2. So if we would only opt for the 2-year plan, we're going to have to dip into the O&M reserves, which I do not want to do. I mean, again, it's over $1 million, but I kind of like it just there. So if we do this now, again, we're starting to plan for phase 2. Because we got to bid these things out, you just can't just it's a big deal. We're not gonna, if the board wants to take this recommendation, we wouldn't do this and wouldn't get voted on until December. Again, if that happens, we'd get. Kevin said we'd have the money within a couple weeks, and what I would do after we had it, I would put it in a money market so we'd start getting interest right away. So, and then as soon as I think ATG, they would be able to start the bleachers and the press box early spring, and I know that's what Jerry wants and Matt wants, and we can roll this thing out. But again, we would pay off these capital project bonds in 3 years.
According to Goebel, the next phase will shift, or rather, because of COVID dollars are going away. Goebel, explains the district will have a lot more moving around of money to do because of a decision many years ago. He says the district will be able to do all these projects without raising taxes.
And during that time, while we're paying these off, we're gonna. Well, you just saw the tentative budget. We're not getting as much money, so we're gonna have to start doing what we did for years and years and years. We're going to have to reach over to the working cash, and we did this last year. We did that permanent transfer, if you remember. So that's what we're going to start doing like we've always done. We're going to start moving that money from the working cash into ed, and we're going to do that for about 3 years. And that money in the working cash our savings account is going to dwindle down, but we're okay. And then by the time the working cash fund is low, these will be paid off, because we're in 3 years, and then it would be my recommendation to do another, not capital projects, but just a regular working cash bond for another 3 more years and build that fund back up again, and then continue to transfer like Clinton's always done. And I don't want to. I've talked about the ed fund being so low and how we do that. It's been whoever did that. I mean, it got voted on years and years and years ago. I'm glad they did it that way because it gives the district flexibility. We have a very low education tax rate at 1.84, but we levy slightly higher than most in working cash, and it gives us flexibility to do all the stuff I'm talking about. So that, again, this is not an action item. I'm just giving everyone the heads up that we will be able to complete phase 2 without raising taxes, and complete phase 2 with well over $1 million. Actually, we have more than that, because if the over $1 million is just in reserves and locked up at CDs and stuff like that, we have more money. We have other money that's more liquid in the operating fund. And what I'm going to do is after the football field phase 2 is done and everything, I'm going to look at where we're at, and I'll probably just reinvest and probably get as high as interest as I can. But I don't want to do that now, because if I don't know all the ins and outs of what phase 2 is going to be.
An option the district could explore is upgrading the restrooms into a concession stand and entryway structure that could see dollars used from a fund designated health life safety. Goebel says, quote, "We tax so low, and yet we are able to do so much."
Talked about concession stand and bathrooms, but another possibility that I'm looking at is that if we do, like, the current bathrooms are not excellent, they're not outstanding. I think we could probably maybe not the whole building, but maybe a portion of that building is going to be bathrooms. So sanitation, all that. I'm thinking maybe a portion of that building we can use health life safety because now it's a sanitation and we're doing sewer work and all that other stuff. So it's Alex, and a lot of you guys maybe know Alex. He's been a part of the district forever. I'm probably in communication with him maybe at least once a week. He's working to see if he can get that approved. But again, let's say it's not. Well, we were already approved for the sanitation one time back in COVID. We're just going to fix the existing bathrooms. So those have already been approved. So I'm constantly looking at how can we maximize how we're spending the money and still be honestly better than so many districts. I don't want to get all into it, but we tax so low, and we are able to do so much.
Approving bonds was not up for action Tuesday night. Bonds for this summer's work were not approved until last year until November, but Goebel hopes for an earlier start on the press box and bleacher project. Last year was the first year in the hallways of Clinton schools for Clinton police officer Cody Mayer. Reflecting on that first year as students return to class today, he hopes both teens and their parents will be mindful of some of the challenges kids face walking through the halls of the school building. Officer Mayer says social media continues to be an issue. It's evolving into teens befriending and trusting people online they don't know.
Some of the big things I've seen a lot of are problems with social media, not being as careful as kids should be. I mean, social media can be a dangerous place for anybody, but especially for kids these days. I've had issues where there's things going on, and I'll tell the parent, make sure that stuff is set to private. Their child's stuff, if you're even allowing them to have social media, which is a whole nother discussion, that stuff should be set to private to where only people that you allow can see their stuff. Monitoring their friends list. Kids will find, here's this cute guy or this cute girl that says they live in Bloomington. I'm going to add them. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't know that's actually this cute guy or cute girl that's, a minor from Bloomington. We don't know who that person is on the other end because you haven't met them in real life. We get a lot of issues from those type of things. And then the whole setting it to private, we've had people taking photos of young people and photoshopping them and doing things like that.
Yeah.
And that stuff just needs to be set to private. I've had parents tell me, yeah, it's set to private, and then I can go in and look at everything on that child's account because it's not set to private.
Yeah.
I don't know what privacy settings they've set to show mom and dad, oh yeah, I have privacy settings, but it's not to the extent it needs to be at that point.
Vaping is an issue that youth leaders are dealing with across the board. According to Officer Mayer, he is trying to bring awareness to the issue that isn't just a fun habit. It can have a lot of negative impacts.
Yeah, and that's just kind of like an epidemic among our teens right now across the whole country. These kids find this, they think it's going to be a great stress reliever. They think, I've had kids tell me I didn't think I was going to get addicted, and all of a sudden they're addicted and they can't stop. They tell me they try to stop for just a couple days and they get headaches and they feel sick and they just feel like they need it. That's a habit that they've tried to say was better than cigarettes, and now they're realizing all the chemicals in those things are actually worse than cigarettes.
With kids getting back to class today, Clinton Police Chief Ben Lowers reminds motorists be mindful of kids and crossing guards in the streets. Parents be patient getting kids to and from school, and everyone have a safe school year. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This tip of the hat for all the awards the area 4-Hers won at this year's fairs comes from the Macon County Farm Bureau, located at 1155 West Pershing Road in Decatur. It's a year's worth of work, but the accomplishments and awards you've earned make it worth it. Congratulations to our local 4-Hers for their awards at this year's fair from the Macon County Farm Bureau, located at 1150 West Pershing Road in Decatur, where membership means value.
As a nonprofit thrift store, Love It Once More in Clinton relies on your donations to help us help others. So right now, if you bring us a donation, we'll give you a card good for 10% off your purchase. So bring us a donation where it stays local to help local. See us on Facebook, Instagram, and DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate, and man, is it hot.
And sticky.
No, I'm talking about the housing market.
I can't handle the sweat, man. It reminds me of my days down on the Chattahoochee.
Oh boy, that's why you're the other Ryan.
View the latest listings by clicking the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. The Taylorville Tornadoes have what it takes to take a step forward in 2024 after a 5-5 playoff-eligible season last fall. But Coach Jeb Odom says a step forward is not a guarantee. His team made it through the gauntlet that is the Apollo Conference in 2023, and they'll have to do it again this fall.
Going 5-5 for us was huge. 3 years ago we started a bunch of sophomores with the hopes of those guys getting better and better and better. And it's a pretty talented class for us. And then last year we sprinkled those juniors in with some seniors that were key players for us, and we were able to make just enough plays in some games to get us over the hump. And then obviously we didn't get the job done down in Murfreesboro, but they had a pretty talented team. So pretty excited about how we ended the season and how we kind of righted the ship. We made some changes in our offseason to kind of keep the momentum going, and hopefully it pays off for us.
While Taylorville brings back a good amount of talent from last year, and they have the confidence in that talent, Coach Odom recognizes the Apollo Conference boasts some pretty good football teams this fall.
Yeah, there is a lot of confidence. We've got 16 seniors, and we were able to add 16 juniors that wanted to come back out for football, and some of those guys are going to be either starters or key players for us. So I guess it's 18 juniors. So, going back a couple years where we started, 5 and 6 sophomores on both sides of the ball, and last year they were juniors with 6 seniors, and now we're on the other side of that coin where we've got 16 seniors and a bunch of juniors and a pretty good sized sophomore class as well. So our numbers are really good, but we have to keep reminding ourselves that last year Olney was a bit down numbers wise. They're back to where they think they will with some D1 talent. Robinson graduated a ton of kids the last couple of years. All those kids that they played last year coming back. Columbia's got a ton of returners. We know the Apollo Conference in Mount Zion and the D1 talent they have, and Muhammad and the depth and the talent that they have. Effingham's always big and physical. Charleston's getting to be big and physical. Mattoon brings a ton of athletes. So, as much confidence as we have, we know that our schedule is chock full of older teams as well that have been through the fire last year.
The Tornadoes bring back 4 offensive linemen, a quarterback with multiple years of varsity experience, and a good group of linebackers.
Well, we're one of the rare programs that we don't name captains throughout the year. We just kind of let that grow organically, and some of the guys that our kids gravitate towards would be on defense would be Cash Foraker, kind of a 3-year returning our all-time leading single-season tackle guy from last year. Brogan Muncie on the offensive line is a 3-year starter. My son Baron Odom is a 3-year starter as well. Clark Durbin's had a really good offseason at wide receiver. Owen Yonker on the defensive side of the ball. So we do have a lot of seniors that kids kind of gravitate towards and look for that leadership. And team, we're going to rely on our offensive line. We got 4 guys that started for us last year that came back, and we added a couple of young guys that we're excited about. And then our linebacking core is really deep. And again, 3 guys that have been started since they were sophomores. So those are going to be the strengths of our football team. When you look at how the game is played, the speed of the game is important. So when you're an offensive lineman and you got a bunch of guys coming back that have been through varsity football and the speed for them is a little bit slower, linebackers have to make those reads on the fly, and they got to do that in a blink of an eye, so it slows down for them. And our staff does a great job of getting our guys ready, on whether it's a linebacker or defensive back, offensive line, or running backs, quarterbacks, whatever. We feel we've got a pretty strong staff, but again, we got to keep reminding ourselves that our competition this year is chock full of teams that played a bunch of juniors last year, so the speed of the game has slowed down for them as well. And we've got to meet everybody in the middle and play well on Friday night and coach well throughout the week and get a couple breaks along the way.
Coach Odom likes the competitiveness of his team. He says this may be a season his team could potentially platoon in some spots. The Tornadoes open their season hosting Richland County on Friday, August 30th. In a game heard here on WHOW, Robbie Ray matched a season high with 9 strikeouts, and the San Francisco Giants beat the lowly White Sox 4-1 Tuesday night.
It was a loss for the White Sox Tuesday night as the offense went missing most of the game. White Sox only scoring 1 run and getting 3 hits in the 4-1 loss to the Giants. Davis Martin started the game strong. He struck out the side in the first and ultimately had a fine day, but only went 4 1/3, giving up 4 hits and 2 runs, striking out 5.
Wave and a miss, a slider down and away. Davis Martin strikes out the side.
The Sox look to avoid the sweep tomorrow with Garrett Crochet on the mound. Logan Webb takes the ball for the Giants. It's a 2:45 first pitch, a 2 o'clock pregame, right here on the ESPN Chicago Hard Rock Casino White Sox Radio Network.
And the Sox are back in action on the WHOW airwaves on Friday night. Cody Bellinger hit a 2-run double. Dansby Swanson homered to lift the Cubs over the Tigers 3-1 Tuesday night. Bellinger went 2 for 4 to lead Chicago. Javier Assad went 5 2/3 innings for the Cubs, allowing just a run on 6 hits and struck out 7. Tyson Miller, Drew Smiley, and Porter Hodge threw 3 1/3 scoreless innings, each allowing a hit to close the game out. Hodge earned his second save. Swanson hit a solo homer in the 6th, his 10th of the season, to left center field to extend the lead. Detroit's series opener at Chicago was Tigers shortstop Javi Baez's first game at Wrigley since he was traded by the Cubs to the Mets in July 2021. The 31-year-old spent his first 7.5 seasons in the big league